Hello, I'm Holly O'Brien, and I'm the curator here at the Puyallup Historical Society at Meeker Mansion in Puyallup, Washington. So behind me is the pioneer home of Ezra and Eliza Jane Meeker. This is their second home, and it was built in 1890 by Tacoma architects Farrell and Darmer. They designed the house to have 4 floors with hot and cold running water on each floor, and this was the fanciest home in the valley, so it had a bathroom on the second floor. It also was piped for electricity, or plumbed for electricity, before it was a thing in the valley. So there was no electricity anywhere. They had gas fixtures originally, and they actually had them transition to electricity about a year after the house was finished. So this Italianate Victorian home is 10,000 square feet, which ends up about 2,500 on each floor, and that includes both the attic and the basement, which are generally not open for tours except on special days for our cellar to attic tours twice a year. The rest of the house is open for tours and includes 17 full rooms. Only 2 or 3 of those are actual bedrooms, but we've got parlors and a kitchen and a day room for Eliza Jane, places where the grandkids used to play. But Ezra and Eliza Jane were actually in their 60s when they moved into the house, so they were the only ones that lived here. The first event that actually occurred was their youngest daughter's wedding right here on the porch of the mansion in 1890. Though the house wasn't finished, they actually adjourned to Ezra's Park Hotel downtown to have their reception. So we sort of honor that still by hosting weddings here at the house. Welcome to the drawing room of the Meeker Mansion Museum. This very large room would have been used for guests, musical events, anything Ezra as mayor might need to host. But this room also has a lot more beautiful features, including this gorgeous ceiling, which is actually a depiction of the Widow's Walk on the roof. So it's almost as if you can see through the upper floors right into the ceiling. So almost as if you can see up into the sky. You can see a little bit of morning glories, almost as if there's different seasons. It's really absolutely gorgeous. And these were done by a gentleman by the name of Frederick Nelson Atwood. This was his first big job. He used to paint theaters in Chicago with his father, and he did a gorgeous job. You can see these ceilings, different kinds of them all throughout the house. Also in the house, we were very lucky to find all original 6 fireplaces, and they're gorgeously hand carved. And they're all surrounded by these tiles that are all different seams. Made by the Encaustic Tile Company here in the United States. So though the Meekers left this house in 1905, they had actually moved to Seattle with their daughter Carrie. This house was really Eliza Jane's baby. She had a lot to do with its design, inception, little elements of it you can see really reflect her. She passed away actually in Seattle at the Soundview Sanitarium. She had some severe dementia and didn't really remember much about Ezra, he said, in the last kind of year of her life. But he did make sure that her funeral was here in the parlor in the house she loved so much before she was taken to Woodbine Cemetery, where she still resides. So here in the library, you'll find Ezra Meeker's original secretary that belonged here in the house. And up in the top of the secretary, you'll actually find copies of each of his books that he's written, including a little rare Christmas version of his children's stories. This desk is currently on loan from the Meeker family, and we're very happy to have it back. So here on the wall in the library is actually the only intact bank of speaking tubes that we have left in the house. These would have gone all throughout the house to the basement, attic, and would have been the primary way to contact people from room to room. You can actually blow in one of these and it will whistle in the room that the original speaking tube came from. And then you can just kind of push back the little lever and talk through. So we actually reconnected last year one of these speaking tubes, this guy in the middle, that actually goes up to Ezra's room, and you can talk back and forth. So Ezra Meeker was always on the cutting edge of things, wanted the newest, fanciest thing. He loved all the innovation that was going on. And one of his most favorite innovations was the telephone. He wanted one as soon as the house was finished, before anybody else in the valley really had one. So he had one installed, but realized he did not have anybody to actually call. So he ended up having to buy some of his closest business associates phones, so he had somebody to talk to when he was here in the valley. Welcome to the master bedroom. Up here you'll find the most furniture that originally belonged to the Meekers. We're fortunate to have their original bedstand, dresser, there's a rocking chair, we've got Eliza Jane's trunk. It really is their room, or the closest we can get to their room. So this trunk originally did belong to Eliza Jane Meeker. She actually took it with her on her first trip to Europe with Ezra as he was going to trade hops in 1893. This is the dining room in the Meeker Mansion, and we're very fortunate to have the Meekers' original dining room table as well as their captain's chairs and then 4 other chairs from their youngest daughter, Olive. This room was described as the fanciest room in the house with an inlaid floor, beautiful windows on all one side, but when the Historical Society took over, we really couldn't see that. It actually took a volunteer who accidentally swung a hammer into the bottom of the wall and found out it was actually wallboard that was covering all these beautiful paneling in here. And we did some restoration works on the bank of windows at the end, which had been popped out sometime when it was a nursing home or something like that. And we're able to reinstall them in their original locations with the original paneling. Thank you for joining us today here at the Meeker Mansion Museum, located in downtown Puyallup. If you'd like to visit us, you can join us Wednesdays through Sundays from 12 to 4 p.m. for a self-guided tour and discover your trail here in Puyallup.